Hello. Today I will take up, in this module, I'll take up module 5, which is the cycle counting, inventory verification, and evaluation. Why is this necessary? Because quite often it has been the experience that every time we have a balance of inventory, always some SKUs within the listing the actual count do not tally with their records. That's why we need to verify and validate the count. And one of the most effective method to validate the count is what we refer to as the cycle count or cycle counting. The cycle counting is a popular inventory counting solution that allows businesses to count a number of items in a number of areas within the warehouse without having to count the entire inventory. So essentially, this is like changing the tires while the car is moving. Because the other option is to close the entire warehouse and do the count. And you do that once a year or every 6 months, because that is disruptive to business. Cycle counting is done as the business moves. And so you count only on the specific items, but you do that every day for the entire year. So one approach of doing this is as a sampling technique. Cycle counting is a sampling technique where count of a certain number of items infers the count for the whole warehouse. So this is one particular approach. 1 or 2 items are selected and counted periodically to determine the accuracy of records and the physical inventory available in the warehouse. So this is version 1 of cycle counting. Let me highlight this. So this is basically version 1 to check the accuracy of the records. All right, that's version 1. To ascertain the accuracy of the records. The other one, version 2, is to set. Version 2 is to set the actual count of SKUs on selected items. So this version 2 is the one that is very much useful in the industry, because in version 1 you ascertain the accuracy of the records, you count, and then you see whether they are equal. If they are equal, then no problem. If they are not equal, then you start 100% count. Here, if not accurate, then do 100% count. Here, so you do a actual count of SKUs of selected items. You do it, and after counting those things that are not equal, if not accurate, then we take note of the count and ratify the records. When we do a ratification, we collect the documents that would prove our correction. That's for version 2. All right, and so quite often we do this, and so let's now continue. Importance of implementing cycle count. Number one is it limits the amount of disruption within the warehouse, which is true. Cycle counts as weekly routine prevent major disruptions to warehouse. And this warehouse should not be, which must not be disturbed. Major disruption to warehouse. And number two, increase confidence in the buying decisions. By having smaller check-ins, buying decisions are more informed and targeted, avoiding stock outs, making better report for buyers. So in effect, since you have a confidence in your count, in the balance that is provided to you, the buyers would make a better decision. Number three, it lessens discrepancies. Cycle counts decrease amount of time an error can catch mistakes by mistakes faster by these smaller ongoing counts. No? So cycle counts decrease the amount of time an error is determined. These mistakes are determined faster by these ongoing small counts. And maintain focus and keep inventory as a priority. Smaller cycle counts allows entire operations team to see stock accuracy as a vital part of business, feeling more confident about the business decisions. Because with this cycle count, you are able to make sure that your basis of decisions are correct. Stock taking or inventory checking is the physical verification of the quantities and condition of items held in an inventory. This may be done to provide an audit of existing stock. It is also the source of stock discrepancy information. And the purpose of stock verification is number one, to support the value of stock shown in the balance sheet through physical verification, to verify the accuracy of stock records, to disclose the possibility of fraud, theft, or loss of deterioration. You know, in warehousing, inventory, quite often there is always a fraud happening, internal fraud. And as a warehouse, as an inventory manager or warehouse manager, you have to be very careful about this. If you do a cycle count weekly, it lessens the opportunity for those who would like to commit fraud to do it, because they know that you're always at your toes, and to reveal the weakness of the system, if any. Because once there is an error, then you would like to do tracing why it happened, and once you do and determine why it happened, then you can correct the system of recording. Maybe there's an error, all right? And some reasons for stock variations include, once there are stock variations or stock balance error, number one, incoming materials. Maybe incoming materials are not recorded properly. Materials issued are not recorded. The ones that are issued are not recorded, so there are failure in recording. Or when we record incorrect quantities, or sometimes instead of dozens we use units, incorrect unit, physical shortages. Sometimes there are physical shortages and we are not able to be aware of this, and we just lend it out to other people and fill parades. This is very, very true. And that's the reason why we have a number of CCTV camera inside the warehouse, because internal theft happens, especially in the warehouse. And steps to avoid stock variations. Number one, recount with a different person performing the second count. The first counter should be verified with another counter, and then verify outstanding transactions. track down incorrectly recorded transactions. This is what I was saying. If there are some mistakes or some discrepancy, you try to check it out. Confirm and reconcile the size of units, and isolate incorrectly stored items and restore them to their correct storage. Alright, so now let's continue. Methods of techniques of stock verification. Number 1, based on size and volume of stock held, various methods of inventory checking could be adopted. Number 1 would be stock taking. Annual stock. It is done at the end of each financial year by a team comprising accountants, stores, and production staff. Each and every item is physically examined, counted, and recorded. This is annual stock taking. This is what I was saying, that you close the warehouse and do the stock taking. Number 2, perpetual inventory method. Continuous, and that's why it's called perpetual. Continuous, and it's also called cycle counting. All right. For large stores, annual stock taking is almost impossible. A team of stock verifiers take up few items each day and physically check these items. All items are checked at least once a year. And number 3, daily stock checking. Storekeepers are required to check 10 to 15 items daily at their own to avoid any shortages or mistake. Number 4, checking by store in charge. Every store in charge also check few items at random every day or every week. And there must be a record of this activity. And periodic checking, this type of checking is done once in 2 or 3 months under the supervision of store in charge. So basically, when you do periodic checking or checking by store in charge, this in essence is called cycle counting. Even this daily stock checking. What is differentiated here is that you are doing it, maybe it's every week, every day, every month, or every 3 months, and that's one. And number 2, you're doing like 10 items, 15 items, or 20 items. All right. So cycle counting is the general term actually for 2, 3, 4, and 4, because this one, periodic checking, could be done like a warehouse checking, except that it is shorter. So let me write that down. So almost like annual stock taking. Almost like annual stock taking. But for smaller number and shorter duration. So let me make this smaller. Yeah. Storekeepers are required to check 10-15 items daily. What happened here? I should be writing this here. Let me cut out. It should be written here. Yeah. So it is almost like annual, but for shorter duration. I think that's the proper term there. All right. So that's for the periodic checking. Then let's continue. Inventory, but after you have counted the ones that are available, You now go to evaluate them. You do inventory valuation. And when we do inventory valuation, there are different types, methods of inventory valuation. You have FIFO, you have LIFO, HIFO, you have base stock. This base stock is almost like a FIFO, so we will not show any computation. Then we have a simple average method, and we have a periodic simple average. Together with this slide, I'll show you a spreadsheet that would highlight that particular computation. This is the, you see, the approach is that method 1 and method 2. We say method 1 is by tabular technique, and method 2 is by effective price. Under the tabular technique of method 1, these are the FIFO, LIFO, and HIFO. And for effective price, we have the simple average, weighted average, and periodic average. In method 2, you will need to come out with an effective price. In method 1, you will need to come out with a tabular technique, or with tables of data. All right, and we will, in this particular exercise, in this particular discussion, we will consider a situation where during the first of the month, January 1, February 1, a certain items, say t-shirt, are coming in with this should not be there. With the price, with the quantity, and with the price, with the quantity. All right, these are the transactions of that particular item. So let me just rewrite this. So this is the price and the quantity that are purchased. So the date of purchase, this is the date of purchase, this is the unit price, and this is the quantity purchased. And this is the sequence, no? Purchase order or PO number maybe. So that's it. So on January 1, there are 5, 6, the unit price in, say, SR, and these are the quantities in units. And a total is 1,800. So this will be the situation that we were going to discuss after the short break.